Alright, so we're going to talk about naming. So first we're going to look at covalent compounds. And sometimes these are called molecular. Okay, and for covalent compounds, remember this is two nonmetals. Alright, so we'll say we have those examples. So we are first going to name the first element. I'll write the rules here. Name first element. And we're going to use a prefix We're going to use a prefix if it's greater than 1. And then we're going to name the second element. We're going to add a prefix and change the ending to "ide." And the list of prefixes is in your book. So 1 is going to be mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, 8 is octa, 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. Alright, so we'll go back up to examples. So on the first one, I would name hydrogen, and it has more than 1, so I'm going to use the prefix for 2, which is di. So dihydrogen. Okay, then our next element is oxygen. We're going to need a prefix all the time on the second element, and we need a prefix for 1, which is mono. And we're going to change the ending to "ide." So monoxide. Okay, for our second one, we're going to name the first one. I don't use a prefix because there's only 1. And then I'm going to name my oxygen, and I need a prefix for 2. So di, and then change the ending to "ide," dioxide. For our third one, I'm going to name the first element carbon. I don't use a prefix because there's only 1. And then my second one, prefix for 1, change the ending to "ide." Okay, on my next one, we're going to use a prefix, tetra phosphorus, and then a prefix for 2 is disulfide. Okay, so it's as easy as that when you're naming covalent compounds. Now, if we're going to go backwards, it's just as easy. Okay, so if they gave me carbon dioxide, I put the symbol for carbon, and then oxygen is O, and there's 2 of them, so CO2. The next one, I have dinitrogen, that means 2 nitrogens. Pentafluoride would be 5 fluorines. So covalent ones are pretty easy. All we have to do is remember our prefixes. Okay, now we'll move on to ionic compounds. Okay, so we'll look at those ones. Alright, so for ionic compounds, we are going to name the first element. And we're going to use a Roman numeral if needed. And then we are going to name the second ion and change the ending to "-ide" unless it's a polyatomic ion. And this is where this periodic table that I posted on Blackboard is going to be helpful. So you can see it has the polyatomic ions up here, and then anything that needs a Roman numeral already indicates it on here. So for example, I have choices of copper 1 or copper 2. It can vary its charge. So if it's copper 1, we use the Roman numeral 1. If it's copper 2, I use the Roman numeral 2. And you can also see that all of the endings are already changed to "-ide" over here for your negative ions. Okay, so we're going to first name Na. So I look at my sheet, Na is sodium. And then I find Cl, and it is chloride. For my second example, I would name Ca, calcium. And then I would name F, which is fluoride. Now I didn't do anything with that 2. We don't even care about it. It doesn't have anything to do with the name. Okay, next one I'm going to name Fe, and I have a choice here. So it's going to be either iron 2 or iron 3. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to leave a space for that. And then Br is going to be bromide. Now Br has a negative charge, and I have 3 of them. So that means that this half is a negative 3. So that means this half has to be a positive 3 because they have to add up to 0. And since that iron is a positive 3, this is going to be iron 3 bromide. Okay, once again, I didn't do anything with that. No prefixes at all in ionic compounds, so I can't have like iron 3 tribromide. Okay, no prefixes. Okay, those aren't allowed in ionic. Okay, my next one, I'm going to name Li, lithium. And I don't care about the 3. Now PO4 is one package, and that is phosphate. So lithium phosphate. And my last one, I name Sr, that's strontium. And then NO3 is a polyatomic ion, it's all one thing. And when I look up here for NO3, it is nitrate. Okay, I didn't do anything with this 2 and this NO3. This is all one thing, just like this PO4 is all one thing, one big package. Okay, 2 words, short and sweet, sometimes a Roman numeral, but that's it. So don't start getting flowery on the names and try to say trilithium phosphorus tetroxide. Okay, we don't do that. We just first ion, second ion, maybe a Roman numeral. That's it. Very short and simple. And it doesn't matter what these subscripts are. Those don't make any difference in the name. Okay, now we're going to look at going backwards, where we're going to write formulas for ionic compounds. Alright, so we'll look at those 3. Alright, so we are going to take the first one and we're going to write the symbol and the charge for the first ion. That's the first word. Then we are going to write the symbol and the charge for the second ion. And then we're going to see if they add to 0. And we're going to crisscross if they don't add up to 0. Alright, so I'm going to go to potassium. And potassium is a K+. And then carbonate, I'm going to find on my sheet. And carbonate is CO3 -2. Now, a +1 and a -2 don't add to 0. So I don't take the negative, just the number. The 2 goes down here, so that's this part. And then the +1, I just carry the 1, it goes over here, and I leave off the 1s. So K2CO3. Okay, my second one is cobalt 3. So I look here, cobalt 3 is CO +3. And then we need dichromate. And dichromate is Cr2O7 -2. And those don't add to 0. So the 2 goes here and the 3 goes over here. I don't take the positives or the negatives, just the number. And I don't want anybody to think that I have 73, so I'm going to put this polyatomic ion in parentheses. So if you have more than one of a polyatomic ion, you put it in parentheses. But not if you just have more than one of an element. Like I would put CO parentheses. So just if you have a polyatomic ion. Okay, then we have aluminum, which is Al3+. And then I have nitride, which is N3-. And those add up to 0, so then I'm just done. So that's it for ionic and covalent.